Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are conquesting yourself and other things around you under God's purposes. It's a wonderful day today. We are going to talk about, Harold had a nice comment asking about what factors played a role in the downfall of man in Western society. So we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Quick shout outs here. Jonathan, Karanja, thank you. By the way, thank you for all the comments, subscriptions, likes. Continue doing those. I'm going to go back and look at the last week or so and catch up on different ideas, catch up on shout outs and things like that. ejgardner 81, thank you. Brotherboldly, how long? I think it's about, I don't know, 1,150 days, something like that. So I've lost track, but it's kind of like an 1,100 category, something like that. Brotherboldly, it said, thank you. Dawson Boyer, 3 you are rare. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. You guys, every warrior is rare because we've been enlightened with this idea from the Lord and from our Creator, and it's good for us to continue, working on this. Jennings, thank you. Dr. Von Life's Investing, always a pleasure. Johnny 5, LBC 213. Daceman 15, thank you. DJ 3DD, Do M, thank you. GoldZ, R Vasquez, Semen Retention 777, thank you, my friend. Jelvvin, thank you. William Thompson, thank you guys. So I appreciate all your comments. I'm going to keep trying to hit the shout outs. I think it's important for us to continue to be a community together and to kind of recognize those warriors who are in battles every day. And this is why I always kind of say battle on, continuing to battle the evil one, to battle our internal type of nature that kind of leads to self-destruction if we're not careful. A lot of key things about controlling ourselves and controlling our discipline and being self-disciplined. So at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, let's go and talk about this. It kind of fits into the category we're talking about here. So Harold Merewether talked about the idea was, why is it that societies fall apart? And most of the time, warriors, and this is a good historical lesson because I love history and I love talking about, obviously, semen retention, so the combination of this kind of fits together. When you look at the falls of societies, we can go back to look at the fall of men. Men's temptations have overcome their actual, self-discipline. All you gotta do is look back at the biblical stories of Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah. You can see what's happening in those types of situations. And it's no different than what happened in the Roman Empire. It's no different than what's happened with the Incas and the Mayas, and even to some extent the English Tudors, all these people. What happens then is that as time goes on, they forget about having a creator or something above them. And so what happens is that the person believes that they are God and they can do anything and they're not responsible for anybody. And this is why it's important to be able to understand that you have that responsibility to use your power, and this is retention we're talking about, in a very honorable way. And not to be able to use it, not be able to control people, to manipulate people, all those type of things. You have to be able to kind of say, I am the leader, I'm the masculine male in the situation. I need to lead my family, my community, my state, my country, whatever it might be. And we need to understand that power. I go back to the old Spider-Man Stan Lee quote, right? You're talking about with great power comes great responsibility. The great responsibility is what lost. And so when you look at these past civilizations and you look at what's happened now with a lot of the men in our world, in Western world, you're really looking at men who have fallen. And a lot of reasons has fallen. And so the factors include a number of different things. First of all, when you look at the temptation, the women in the Western world have temptation all over them. All they do is walk around with very little clothes on. You don't see this in other parts of the world sometimes. You also see a lot of heightened images and all kinds of stuff, because that's what sells. And so marketing uses all those things to sell, people's bodies and pictures. And so now a young man is inundated with all these type of things and thinking it's important for me to go ahead and release and do all these things. And so you become weaker when you do that. You don't have that strength. And so then you tend to look at the media and your friends as someone who is a really the way we should live. Now, combined with that is the issue that a lot of young men, and I see this a lot, especially as I help a lot of the high school men in the area, they do not have father figures. And if they have one, they're not really around. So what's happening is they have no idea of how to act like a man. And this puts a lot of young men and boys in bad situations as they grow up. They have to learn from a lot of bad examples of what a man is. And nowadays, if you look at society, they're not teaching you what a real man is, they're teaching you what a real simp is. And because they want the simps to kind of, not be very powerful, so that in some sense, other countries, other places can come in and invade and take over. Because if you got a lot of simp men, you got a lot of simp armies and people protecting you, and those people are not going to be able to protect you because you're so weak. And women have no respect for that. And the women, on the other hand, have been taught to become masculine. And now you have a lot of other types of things going on where women don't really feel they need men. And that's another one of those big fallacies, because they need more than men need women most of the time because of the validation. But what happens is that women are taught, we get a job, all this kind of stuff, you don't need men. And they find they're very lonely. I can't tell you the amount of women in their 30s and 40s that I've met are just totally lonely, or they're totally angry because they've been given a bill of bad goods here and trying to tell them, well, you don't need men. Of course they need men. Men need women, and women need men. There's different types of things that are there that in society that God has given us for each. So we need each other, but we need each other in the right type of situation. And a lot of women have try to become very dominant, and they don't have that retention in that level. Yes, they could do retention, but most of it is because of their time in a month. They lose a lot of that retention and the energy, and they also then get a lot of estrogen as well, and so they're not as strong. And that's what happens. I mean, there are some females stronger than males, I'm sure, but the idea is that most males who have retention, who are building themselves up, are much stronger than women, and women know that. This goes back to the caveman types of days, in which men went out and protected, and provided and protected, because anybody could come in and take the wife and the kids and the woman because they weren't as strong. And those are the types of things that happen. So when you look at this situation, realize that we have changed because of a lot of factors around us. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, as a warrior, put up with that scenario. And so what you have to do is actually start saying, I don't believe in this scenario. I believe in the other scenario, in which the men are the leaders, men are masculine, women are submissive, men are submissive in some other ways, but women are submissive. And so what happens then is that a woman then respects a man because a man is being that masculine male that they can respect, that they know that will be safety with, and that goes back to eons before we were all born. But this continues because women down deep subconsciously know that a male is strong. And how do you do this? Well, a number of different things. This is why you see a lot of older men who attract a lot of younger women, because a lot of males in our age group, now I'm talking about my age group, in the 60s and 50s and even 40s and 30s, have some experience. And so we're not as intimidated by the society. We're not intimidated by those things that could make us fearful women. There's people, there are warriors, there are men out there who really are scared of women. I can't even look them straight in the eye because they're scared of them. And I think you have to think about this. If you're in one of those categories and you need to work with that, I certainly can do videos and we can talk about that. But eye contact, and I think I did some on eye contact. Eye contact is crucial. You need to look at a woman and tell her basically you're dominant. You're the dominant force here. And if she doesn't want to come along with it, fine. There's a lot of other people around. And whether you're married or not doesn't really matter. All women should be feeling the same thing around you. And that's a high level of dominance from you. And so as you're dominant, you're able then to attract a lot of things to you. And they will be attracted. And what you do with that after that is up to you, of course. But remember, the bottom line is you do not want to lose energy. You want to keep your energy and transmute it and do a lot of great things with it. Excuse me. So, as we look at this, we're looking at factors that played a role in the downfall of man. So when we look at that, we have to kind of say to ourselves, when you look at a situation and realize all the temptation, all the things around you, all the things in society is brainwashing us, we have to make a decision. And warriors, I know because you're part of the 1%, you're making a decision not to follow the scenario in society. And that's great. Now we just have to continue to work on following through with that. And that means retention, of course, retaining, having self-control, having self-discipline, so you call the shots in what's happening. Obviously, you're following with your creator, and you're praying to your creator, and your creator creates a lot of this. But what you're doing is reacting to situations on a daily basis. And you have to think to yourself, is this something that makes me stronger or weaker? Why do I want to get involved in this type of situation? People, women, men will respect you because you're on your purpose, your goal. Do not waste time. And I had this situation the other day. Do not waste time with situations that have no benefit for you and your goals. If it's a conversation, it's something people want, do not waste your time. You have too many things you're doing as a warrior to build yourself up, to worry about what other people think, and to worry about interacting with people that drain you. I used to do this, and I had this problem when I was younger for years. I would get involved in these misery loves companies types of situations, enable people, listen to their problems, all kind of stuff. It drained me more than it drained them. Actually, when they were able to talk about it, they released it. They vented. And I caught all that, and I became a lot more drained out. So the idea then is you want to focus on looking at, what is this? Is this going to benefit me? Or is this something that's going to hurt me or stop me from achieving my goals? And this, we get back to the downfall of man. Most of the time what's happening is we're spending our days, most of these men in our society, spending these days on a lot of fruitless efforts for pleasure, things like that. And once again, you have people who have no role models, and they're being taught by society what to do. And so you have people celebrating gender changes, all kinds of other nonsense, because they just don't know. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, it takes a lot of bad experiences from them to realize that this was not the case. And so I feel empathy for a lot of young men, because they don't have those kind of role models. They haven't seen exactly what a man is, and it's hard to find those type of people. That's why we're trying to create this 1%, because yes, we're talking about God. God's the most important. And we're talking about retention, which is very important. But we're really talking about becoming a man again. And we all, including myself, suffer from this for a lot of years. And it's time to kind of take back that manly mantle that we have and say that we're men. And that because of that, we have to behave like men, and we're in charge. We're dominant. And we look at people, we talk to people, we decide what we're going to talk about, what we're not going to talk about. We're not going to simp out for somebody, no matter who it is, male or female. Because the bottom line is that you are the one who is the leader. And you do the things that you want to do. And I think there's no reason to have empathy and work with your partner and work with your people around you in business and relationships and like that. But don't lose your identity. There's nothing wrong with loving your wife, nothing wrong with loving, your friends, things like that. But your identity is separate. You have your own life. And you need to be detached from all those other things when it comes to who you are. Do not lose yourself in these situations, because I did when I was younger. And I tell you, it's a painful situation to try to look at validation from other people. Never get validation from other people. The validation comes from God, from within you, knowing that you're doing the right thing. And that's important. So Harold, a great topic here. And again, we've talked about the fall of empires and historical types of things. And I focus again on the ideas that we have to teach more warriors out there to be men. And so almost like anything else, if you're a person who has some level of knowledge on this, as all of you guys who are listening and commenting do have, reach out to some other less fortunate males who have no clue about this, and they're living a life, or they're moving in a life of just total simpus, I guess you'd call it, behaviors, weakness. I talked to a woman the other day about this as well, and she's in her 40s, and basically men are weak, and this is what, and she actually could play with them. And this is not what you want, warriors. You want to be the strong dominant person. And she really wants someone to come along and make her feel obedient. She said that to me directly. Because women, that's what they want, to feel safe. They want to feel like someone's taking care of them. But they can't depend on some weak male who doesn't really want to have strength, who basically is saying, no, you make the decisions, you do all the stuff. I'm not really involved. I have feelings and emotions too. BS on that stuff. BS on that stuff. It's okay to have feelings once in a while, but males cannot afford to feel like that. Males need to be the ones that are strong. Now, females and children, they can do all that they want because they're nurturing. In our case, we're not nurturing. We're providing and protecting. All right, my friends. Well, Harold, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. You guys have a great day today. Hope you guys are going to continue conquesting on. Always remember, I leave with two things. First of all, every day is a new day to a great warrior, and you guys are all great warriors. And number two, we always say this because we have to. Battle on!